So the crowdfund didn't reach. Do you call it capacity? It didn't reach full funding.
It's goal. It's goal.
Didn't
Yeah.
reach the goal. Didn't reach the first
Not
goal.
even close.
There was a. I sent a screenshot in one of the chats last night. It did freak out when it ended, and it said it's got like 3 million or something.
Yeah, a
Something
million
ridiculous.
backers or something. I was like, huh?
300% funded. I'm gonna try to find that picture now.
That, in fact, did not actually happen. Although the website did glitch out.
Yeah, there we go. I got it here. 1 million backers. 1 million.
It couldn't even get 2,000 backers.
Funding complete. 20,000.
To be fair, I didn't even know this was happening until like 3 days before it ended. Somehow, I like to consider myself fairly connected into the Jurassic, your community, because like you guys and I follow a lot of people on Zeet or whatever Zitter or whatever they call it, X. But I didn't see it until people were like, "Yo, this is not gonna hit." That's when I started that's when I noticed. I was like, "Okay, what the hell is this?" And I saw how much it was, dude. It was like 500 plus Canadian dollars. I was like, "Nope, not doing it."
Dude, that's it. When they switched to international, which was a good choice from the get-go, they should have done that. But then I looked at the Canadian price and I was like, I can't justify the 350. Let alone
you can get
the new
you can
Canadian.
Get Time One Studios for $500. I'm not paying Mattel $500 for a toy. I'm sorry, I'm just not.
So let's talk about the reasons. For anybody that's listening who doesn't know what it is, it was a Mattel Jurassic Park gate set which lit up and opened by themselves. Very cool. Fences were an additional thing if it reached a certain goal. There was a really cool Ford Explorer that had more detail. There was a Buck T-Rex, which was the Hammond Collection T-Rex with a new head sculpt and new paint job. New feet, which looked really good. And it did look really good, but that was one of the tiers that would get added in. There was also Electrified Tim, the goat, and things that would get added as
Lex with a pink hat.
Bonus.
Or not a pink hat. Whatever, blue hat.
Purple.
Is it purple? Yeah. Very ambitious of them.
So,
you're a nerd.
For a little background, what is a crowdfund? So why do crowdfunds exist? Crowdfunds exist because there's certain sets that cannot make it to mass retail. They are too expensive, too obscure, etc., too large for retailers to be interested in carrying them. So in the case of crowdfunds, crowdfunds are basically, you got to make a minimum of a product to offset the costs of development. So crowdfunds, basically, they set their baseline price and saying, hey, if we get this many backers, if this many people pre-order this set, we will then be able to make it for this price. And if even more people make it and we make more money, we can add more value to the set. So then those are the stretch goals. Hasbro, Star Wars, etc., they all employ crowdfunds to a phenomenal extent and have a ton of success. It is a common thing. It's a very common thing to do really big, like spaceships and whatnot, things that just can't make the mass market. And it makes sense. The Jurassic Park gates, quality level, aren't really something that's going to make it to mass market. The concept of a Jurassic Park gate crowdfund makes a lot of sense. Where the missteps happened was the goals, basically the whole set. So like you had the baseline set came with the gates in the Ford Explorer.
One of the things that did get me was the initial price. It's just too high for what it was.
Too high for an introductory price of what you're getting in the baseline package, especially because that price was... It got to that price because they, for some reason, included a Ford Explorer with the set. And here's the thing. Jurassic Park gates and fences, that's one crowdfund. High quality Ford Explorer with premium deco and decal, etc., and like really good components, that's another crowdfund.
Yeah.
High quality Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus male Rex, that is another crowdfund.
Yep.
The problem, and you never see them do things like this, the problem is Mattel immediately put all these three things together in the same crowdfund, some of them as stretch goals, though, so it's like you weren't even guaranteed to get them for the price. And then on top of that, their baseline image had everything, like of all the stretch goals in it. So people look at it, go $250, and they're going, wow, this is a really good package. And then they go to back it and they go, wait, I'm only getting the gates and the Explorer. The other thing is they're usually collector level. So things like the lights, they made a lot of sense. Things like the mechanized gates and the music that it played, I'm going to be honest, that's not the crowd. That's a mass market appeal thing. That is not your collector level type of appeal thing. This thing felt like it was a jack of all trades, a master of none, and it was sort of directionless in that sense.
Yeah, I think obviously, as I said, the price initially would have deterred a number of people. I mean, right now, especially in this economy, like seriously, like we are all living through some tough times right now, and I think just spending, $350 on toys is hard to justify in itself. I'd said from the get go, if it had been maybe the male T Rex for 50 or $100, it's so much more reasonable just for that. And maybe a stretch goal adds something else, but just the smaller. I think as you said, Chris, opening their first Jurassic crowdfund with so many items in one, it was not the way to go, especially
That's just
considering.
not how any crowdfund even works. It just completely ignored the format of crowdfunds. And again, if they could have got this, the base set should have been the gates and the fences.
Mhm.
If they could have got the gates and the fences with just lights around $200, I think you would have probably seen it succeed. Or if they would have just done a Hammond Collection T-Rex, male T-Rex crowdfund, and then the add-ons maybe could have been like the capture gear or whatnot. Not capture gear, but like the thing that it like the cage that was in at the end of Lost World, or other little things like that. Junior T-Rex with premium
Should come
deco.
with the baby, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
What just the initial set for 5,000 backers it needed was the gates and the Jeep. Did it have fences either side
no,
of? Yeah, so that
no.
that was always a bizarre thing to me that there was the fences were like 8,000 backers or something to get the fences.
It was 6,000. 6,000 for the
6,000, okay,
fences.
right.
8,000 was the buck. But it just didn't make any sense anyhow, because that Ford Explorer should not have been in the set. That drove up the cost of entry. Also, keep in mind, this is the first time Jurassic has ever done a crowdfund like this. First time Mattel Jurassic has done something like this. So the audience isn't trained. The audience, the consumer, the customer, the fans, they're not trained to even understand how these things work and look for them. So when you come in with a very sort of wishy-washy set that's like a little confusing and a really steep asking price, it's just too much. I'm not saying you can't do expensive crowdfunds. I mean, Hasbro just announced from Star Wars a crowdfund for $500. I think it was like 2 days ago they announced it.
Ghost or something.
And the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels and now the Ahsoka show. It was $500. It needed 8,000 backers. It's already got 8,746 backers, and it's still got
Wow.
41 days left to go on its crowdfund.
And
It comes
obviously,
with, like, one figure.
obviously Star Wars does have a much larger toy collector audience, right? There is just a lot more people there, but that is a good example of the way to do that product
They've
right.
established adult collectors in the way that a Mattel Jurassic, frankly, has not established, has really captured adult collectors. Because while like things like the Hammond collection are great and they do market them towards adult collectors, most adult collectors just haven't jumped on it. It's just not. It's not hitting the check marks that they want. So also on top of that, they just haven't really captivated that audience. And there's just a lot of reasons why this went wrong, but I think the number one reason is it just did not follow the usual format. Usually you don't always know what all the unlocks are going to be immediately, and you don't announce them all out the gate. When you get to the unlock, you reveal the unlock. And also you don't have three featured items: the gates, the Jeep, the what's it fucking called? The Ford Explorer. I mean,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Gates, Ford Explorer, and T-Rex. Those are all different featured items. It would be like having like a Rancor, a spaceship, and like a speeder.
One of the things that stood out to me initially when we were making our first post and video about it was the fact that all of it stood together looks really good, except the Buck T-Rex. Why is that there in front of the gates? It doesn't make any sense. And obviously, it's not supposed to be a set from the movie, but the fact that it was combined just makes you think, did they choose the wrong Rex or something? Visually, because the Buck has never been to Nublar.
Yeah,
So it's just a little weird thing there, like visually, I think it threw me off.
if they could have found a way to get those gates and fences down to 179 to 200, I think that it would have met funding. And then they could have made the stretch goals a lot more realistic, and then followed it up with an Explorer, followed it up with the Buck T-Rex, not in the same crowdfund, as separate crowdfunds at the appropriate prices. And I think people would be a lot happier with that. And I think they would have seen success, but for some reason they didn't follow the ways that any other crowdfund works. They didn't follow them. They tried to do something that was a little weird. And it caused a very steep asking price, and it was just, I don't know. As soon as they lost that momentum at the beginning, also without international backers, once you lose momentum and it starts plateauing, you really can't get it back. Because most people are also saying like, yeah, I'll buy it if I know we're getting at least 6,000 people. And the funny thing is, it had virtually no marketing. And a week ago, they added the fences to the base package, but they did not advertise that.
So one thing that really well, it didn't frustrate me, but I found it a bit bizarre, was that the social media team from Mattel, I mean, Mattel Creations' own Twitter has been dead for like a year.
Yeah.
And I think there is still a huge audience of Jurassic Park fans on Twitter, especially the toy community. So it seems strange that they weren't on there constantly pumping out posts.
And the official Jurassic World account never supported it, which is a bit of a bummer because I think that that would have brought it to new
I
eyes.
mean, like
Like
even I didn't even see it until like last
Yeah,
week.
see,
I
didn't know.
consider myself fairly connected.
we posted it
Yeah.
on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook many times. We had many excerpts of videos and images and reminders.
Friendly for it. Whoever at Twitter or X is holding Mattel down, we got to find this out.
The Explorer, as you said, it should have been maybe a separate crowdfund, because I could have seen that doing quite well as well. People like the Jeeps, people like the vehicles, they're very iconic, and even people that wouldn't ordinarily buy, say, a Jurassic Park vehicle may have been like, that's actually pretty cool, I think I want that. And
Yeah,
if they had done its own crowdfund, then maybe the Jeep could have had some LED lights
it
in the
could have
front.
been as good, if not better, than the Jada one.
I think
Yeah.
the problem also is for such a high asking price, I think that item is just doesn't have enough appeal. For like myself, I don't see myself ever spending that much just for a set of gates and some add-ons. Like the gates have to be a part of something else. You know what I mean? Like the gates have to be like the gate and the fencing has to be secondary to something else. Like it can't be the main item for me.
I
It's
think
too much.
Chris made a good point that usually these things are more geared towards the hardcore collector, the actual fan, the collector, the adult collector, I should say. And the gates definitely feel, I guess, yeah, they do feel more like a
They
toy.
I mean,
feel more childish. I'll just
they
say it.
look
Like I consider
phenomenal.
myself an adult collector, and I
They
wouldn't
look
consider
great,
adding that to my collection.
but yeah, it's more like for play.
They
Yeah.
had features for play which made no sense, like the sensor that automatically opened the gates and played
It's
music.
just a novelty then.
That
If you
is
just show it
something
off
that
once or
you do at
twice.
mass market, not for the collector. The
Yeah.
lights,
I
the
don't want
lights
that.
make sense. The little
Lights
spotlights
are
having
great.
lights, the
Sure.
fences having lights on them, that all makes sense. But the music and the mechanized gates and the sensor,
Don't need it.
that was all needless cost, and that was not for this type of project. It doesn't really make any sense. Again, it should
Totally
have
agree.
been a more streamlined, no music, no mechanized gates, no sensors, just the gates and the fences at a cheaper asking price, with better communication, better advertisement, and a better stretch goal system. And I think that we would have met it. Fully think that it would have
Yeah, it's
met
not
it.
that Jurassic Park fans don't spend money. It's like we know
They do.
we do spend money. We like
Mhm.
But
100% we do. Things go out
Give
of
us the
stock.
right product and we'll spend all our money. That's the thing.
Exactly.
And yeah,
Needlessly, sometimes
but
too much.
I do feel bad for Mattel. I feel bad that their
same.
first initial Jurassic campaign didn't get funded. That's tough. That's a real tough look. But I'm curious where we go from here. What is
Any
the next
lasting
step?
impacts.
What do we think they're going to do? Do we think they'll reconsider the crowdfund and think maybe, okay, let's listen to some of this. Maybe they will put the buck up as its completely own crowdfund. What do we think is going to happen?
I think that this is not these items won't resurface for a very long time, if they ever do. I think they might do another crowdfund. I hope that they took the appropriate learnings from this crowdfund and structured it appropriately. But I don't think we're going to see the Gates or the Buck come back anytime soon. I think that whatever they had in the cards next, they'll try again. I just really hope they take the right learnings from the asking point and the stretch goals, and also opening it up for international fans immediately, because that just made no sense not having the international fans on it. And to your point about Jurassic fans spending money, yeah, Jurassic fans spend money just on eBay. The unreleased canceled Chaos Effect Ultimasaurus toy, one of the canceled ones, fully painted prototypes, hit eBay, and it sold for $16,900.
Whoa, big spenders.
Yeah,
Who too?
Jurassic has serious collectors, and there are a lot of serious collectors that don't collect Jurassic yet, simply because they're waiting for a more adult-oriented line. And I don't fully think Mattel has managed to captivate that. A lot of their Hammond collection is a great collection. I really do like the Hammond collection toys, but the reality is they're not that accurate.
They're toys at the end of the day.
The paint jobs aren't necessarily different than the core line. It's just more paint, but at the same time, they need a little bit more direction with the Hammond collection to really hit those. They need to focus on accuracy and paint quality a lot more, in my opinion, to captivate that audience in. I'm not saying they're not good. I think they are good, but they also aren't quite what people expect from adult collector series like the Black Series, Vintage Collection, NECA, etc.